Good evening, Titans, and hope you're getting off to a great start to the new school year. And we'll be talking about lesson 1.2 tonight, and titled Variables, Expressions, and Equations. The objectives tonight will be to use variables to represent unknown quantities and to represent real-world situations with equations and solve by guess and check. First of all, we take a look at this problem. It says, suppose that while you are on vacation, you want to rent a mountain bike, and the cost is $3 per hour plus a $20 fee. What I want you to think about is, how much would it cost to rent the bike for 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, and then even 8 hours? Now we're going to come back to this problem at the end of the lesson, but just take an opportunity here and kind of think if what you think it may cost for each of those time frames. Now, this might be a good opportunity to pause the video and at this time and write down these glossary terms. Now, most of these you should be aware of, but a variable, again, is a letter that is used to represent a number. So a variable could be x, could be y, could be the variable a, anything like that. An algebraic expression are variables and numbers combined by operations. Now the main thing is that an algebraic expression contains no equal sign. So when we take a look at an expression, it could be 2x plus y. That would be an algebraic expression. Now an equation are two equivalent algebraic expressions connected by an equal sign. So the main thing is that it's an equation has an equal sign, and so I could have 2x plus 3 equals 5. Now that represents an equation because of the equal sign. And then the final one here is a solution to an equation. A solution is a set of values for the variables in an equation that make it true. So if we take a look at this equation I have here, a solution to this would be maybe x equals 1. Because if I plug 1 in for x, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 equals 5, so that makes it true. And any value of the variable that makes the equation true is considered a solution to that equation. So, first type of problem we want to look at here is if you're given an expression that contains a variable, to evaluate it for the value of that variable. So in this case, we're given the expression 5x minus 7, and we want to evaluate it once for x equals 2, and then again for x equals 6. So we're first going to do it for x equals 2. So I'm going to use this here and go 5 times 2, because I replaced the x with 2. And remember, 5x means 5 times 2 minus 7. 10 minus 7 is 3. Now we're going to evaluate it a second time, but this time we're going to use x equals 6. So we go 5 parentheses times 6 minus 7. So 5 times 6 is 30 minus 7 equals 23. So this problem would be very similar to the ones that we'd have you do in class tomorrow. This would go with problems 10 through 21 in your book. And so they ask us to make a table to show the value of the expression 4m minus 10 when m is 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now if you want to pause this and try to do this on your own, and then when you start it back up, I will work it with you. So we're first going to go ahead, plug 8 in for m, so 4 times 8 is 32, and then 32 minus 10 is 22. Now we're going to plug 9 in. 4 times 9 is 36, minus 10 is 26. 4 times 10 is 40 minus 10 is 30. And then 4 times 11 is 44 minus 10 would be 34. Now, these next problems we're going to solve these equations. If you remember what a solution is, it's the value of the variable that makes it true. We're going to solve these two equations by using what we call the guess and check. So what we want to do is we want to guess a value for x that we think might make this true. And looking at this, if I have 10 times what, and then I add 3 to it to get 53, I can make a pretty educated guess and say, well, I'm going to try 10 times 5 plus 3, and that's 50 plus 3, and that's 53. Well, that equals 53, so that checks. So my answer is that x is equal to 5. Now, we know there are other ways to solve that equation, but we want you to use this guess and check method. So letter B, it's a little more difficult because you have a larger number to deal with. So I'm just going to try 30 right away, because I know 4 times 30 is a pretty big number. And I do that and I get 120 plus 3 is 123. Well, I need it to be 155. And that does not equal 155, so I'm going to have to try again. So I'm going to erase this time. And now I'm going to try maybe 40. So I go 4 times 40 plus 3. Well, 4 times 40 is 160. Plus 3 is 163. Oops, that time I have too much. So I have to think here. Maybe I'm going to try, it's a little bit less than 40, so I'm going to try 38 this time. So I'm going to erase this. I'm going to try 38. So I go 4 times 38 plus 3. Well, 4 times 38 is 152. Plus 3 is 155. 155 equals 155, so it checks. So now I know that my solution is that P must equal 38. And that's solving by using guess and check. Now, the last examples that we're going to do is, taking a real world example and trying to create something from it. So we want to write an equation to represent a problem situation. So we have a membership in a gym at a community center. It costs $15 per month plus a one-time fee of $50. Write an equation for the total cost C for the membership over 5 months. As you can see, we've already kind of talked about this and shown it here. But the main thing is that the initial cost is $50. That only happens one time. So that's why there's no variable connected with the 50. And then it's 15 for every month. So every month I get charged $15. So that's why the 15 is connected with the M. So it's 15 times M. And now this equation will find the total cost. If I join the membership for 1 year, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or so on. So here's another one. So it says the cost to rent a set of jet skis is a $20 fee plus $50 per hour. Make a table to show the total cost to rent the skis for 1 hour through 5 hours. Write an equation for the situation. So again, it says the cost to rent a jet ski is $20 fee plus $50 per hour. So the $20 fee, that just happens one time. Plus, I have to pay $50 per every hour. Since they want me to write an equation, this just represents an expression. So the cost to rent, I'm going to write C equals. So now that's the equation to find that. So now if I want to find how much it's going to cost for 1 hour, well, I'm going to let H equal 1. So I have C is equal to 20 plus 50 times 1. And I get 20 plus 50 is $70. So it's going to cost me $70 if I rent it for 1 hour. So what happens if I rent it for 2 hours? Is it $140? Well, the answer to that is no. Because all we're doing is we get charged again only for the other hour. So instead of plugging 1 in, we now are simply going to plug in 2. So it's still the initial fee of $20 plus $50 per hour. So now it's 20 plus 100 is $120 for 2 hours. And we could go ahead and go through this whole situation all the way up through 5 hours. So, last problem here says Megan places 2 photos on the cover of her picture album. She places 5 photos on each of the other pages. Now that word each can come in handy a lot of times and help us realizing what has to go with a variable and what doesn't. She has 67 photos in all. So, in this case, we're going to set it equal to 67 because that's the total number of photos she has. She's going to put 2 on the front cover plus 5 photos on each page. And now they ask us to solve this to determine how many pages we need. So we're going to use guess and check. So if I think of maybe checking to see if 10 works, well 5 times 10 is 50 plus 2 is 52. So that doesn't quite work. So I'm going to use 12. 5 times 12 is 60 plus 2 is 62. Nope. But I'm going to try 13. So 2 plus 5 times 13. See if that equals 67. So 2 plus 65, that is 67 equals 67. It checks. So she's going to need 13 pages to be able to use all her photos. Now, I'd like you to pause the video here. Here are just some additional examples that I want you to try to do on your own and bring these to class tomorrow and just put these at the end of your notes. And maybe you'll get them right and maybe you won't, but I want you to take the opportunity to try to figure these out. If you need to go back and rewatch some part of the video to help you figure this out, then please do so. But come to class tomorrow with your notes, with maybe these 3 problems completed, and then we'll talk more about this tomorrow in class and do some practice with it. All right, so have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow in class.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.